Chapter 71. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Regarding the cooperation proposed by the leader of the Revolutionary Army, Dragon, Shanks thought for a long time and finally nodded and agreed, because he knew that it would be difficult to rescue Buggy from the Navy with the strength of his own pirate group, but with the help of the Revolutionary Army, it might be successful. Soon, Shanks and Dragon reached a cooperation. The two quickly formulated a detailed action plan. Their red-hair pirates were responsible for luring away the main force of the Navy. Dragon and Tyrant Bear took the opportunity to take Buggy away. However, although this plan is good, there is an important variable, that is Ningchuan. This kid's strength may really be able to stop Dragon and Big Bear. Shanks is a little hesitant now. He doesn't know whether what Ningchuan said to him at that time was true or false. If it was true, he would not interfere in this matter after handing Buggy over to the Navy. Then this operation will definitely succeed, but if it was a lie to him, then Dragon and Tyrant Bear might be in a lot of trouble. Shanks told Long and Kuma this crucial information. Long nodded seriously after listening. No matter whether Ningchuan would intercept his actions next, he would do his best to rescue Buggy. After all, this guy is the first person in the world who dares to kill the celestial dragons publicly. If he is brought into the Revolutionary Army, then the influence of the Revolutionary Army in the world must be much greater than before. After setting a detailed battle plan, Shanks led the red-hair pirates, turned the bow, and launched a second attack on the Navy. The war started again. On the sea, countless Navy warships fired at Shanks' pirate ship. For a time, the whole sea was filled with gunfire and smoke. Ningchuan, standing at the bow of his boat, while sitting there enjoying Tina's dedicated massage, while watching Shanks' ship break through the Navy's heavy defenses and break through the waves. As he had expected, Shanks would not give up Buggy easily. Is that Shanks' pirate ship? He's coming back again. Tina looked at the battlefield in the distance and couldn't help frowning. While Tina was worried about the situation on the battlefield, Ningchuan suddenly looked up at this moment and looked at the top of his head. His observation Hawkeye suddenly sensed two different auras at this moment. He looked up and found that there were two figures looking at him in the sky. Ningchuan recognized the identities of these two people at a glance. It was the leader of the Revolutionary Army, Dragon, and Tyrant Bear, one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Are these two guys here for Buggy too? Buggy's luck is really outrageous. Ningchuan was secretly shocked that there were waves of people who wanted to rescue Buggy. However, looking at the two people standing above him, Ningchuan had no intention of intercepting them. After all, he had already handed Buggy over to the Navy. What happened next had nothing to do with him. However, he was somewhat interested in the devil fruit abilities of Dragon and Tyrant Bear. But Ningchuan knew that he didn't have to rush. When he arrived at the Grand Line, he would have many opportunities to come into contact with them. Seeing that Ningchuan had no signs of making a move, Dragon and Tyrant Bear secretly breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that Shanks's judgment of Ningchuan was not wrong. The young strong man seemed to have no intention of interfering with their actions, so, the two of them just floated steadily in the air above Ningchuan's head, like two guardian gods. They were always ready to find the best opportunity to grab Buggy. Huh? Are you still not leaving? Forget it, it has nothing to do with me anyway. Ningchuan no longer paid attention to the two guys above his head. He continued to direct Tina to massage his shoulders and legs. Sengoku witnessed the red-hair pirate ship breaking through the blockade again. A surge of anger suddenly surged in his heart. Again and again, provocation. Do you really think we dare not attack you, the red-hair pirates? Sengoku crushed the cup in his hand and looked at Garp and the others again. Go all out this time. Try to keep the Shanks pirates for me. Under Sengoku's order, the 4 of them quickly assembled. At the same time, they flew out of the ship and rushed towards the direction of the Shanks pirates ship. They were so fast that they reached the sky above the Shanks pirates ship in almost an instant. Sengoku stood in the front, his eyes as sharp as a hawk, staring directly at Shanks. Shanks, give up. Buggy, you can't take him away. If you provoke the Navy again, I'll keep you too. However, facing Sengoku's threat, Shanks responded with a smile. Let's fight. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Without Ningchuan, it's easy to take you down, but if you don't agree, you can't talk too much. Seeing that they couldn't negotiate, Sengoku and his men no longer hesitated and prepared to go all out. Seeing that Shanks was determined and unwilling to give up Buggy, Sengoku's face sank and he gave a decisive order. Start the war. Before he finished speaking, the atmosphere on the sea surface suddenly became extremely solemn. The battle was about to break out. Akiji took the lead. In order to stop the advance of Shanks' pirate ship, he directly used the Ice Age to instantly freeze the vast sea surface. Even Shanks' pirate ship was instantly frozen on the sea surface. At the same time, Sengoku roared angrily and transformed into a huge golden Buddha statue again. He fought side by side with Garp and killed Shanks directly. At this moment, the two veterans had the same idea in their hearts, that is to see if they can really keep Shanks, the great pirate, this time. Akainu and Akiji killed Beckman. Their goal is quite clear. As long as Beckman and Shanks are captured, the morale and combat effectiveness of the Red Hair pirates will be greatly reduced, and the entire team may face disintegration. Other Vice Admiral Ghost Spider and Huashao Shan also joined the battle, fierce battle with members of the Red Hair pirates. Their mission is to prevent the pirates from destroying the ice and ensure that the Navy fleet can retreat smoothly, seeing that all his people were dragged down. Shanks deliberately showed an anxious look. He seemed to be worried about not being able to break through the Navy's blockade, but in fact, his heart was already full of joy. All the high-level combat forces of the Navy were dispatched, then the protection of the fleet was particularly empty. As long as Ningchuan did not take action next, then it was a foregone conclusion that Long and Tyrant Bear would succeed. However, the anxious look on Shanks' face made Zhangguo feel a lot more at ease. The more anxious Shanks was at this time, the safer Buggy was. As long as Shanks' pirate group was dragged here and they could not move forward at all, when the Navy fleet was far away, everything would be a foregone conclusion. Chapter 72. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When the Navy's main force left, Ningchuan's boat did not leave with the main force. His eyes were always fixed on the battlefield in the distance. He paid special attention to the huge golden Buddha form of Sengoku. He had been coveting Sengoku's fruit ability for a long time. This time, among his goals, the only thing he hadn't gotten was Sengoku's ability, and this time Shanks went to war with the Navy again. It just happened to give Ningchuan a great opportunity to get the Buddha form of the human fruit. No matter what the final outcome of this war is, he, Ningchuan, is the biggest winner. Tina, who has been massaging Ningchuan's shoulders, at this time, her admiration for Ningchuan has increased a lot again. Captain Ningchuan is so righteous. He doesn't want to retreat with the main force, but stays on the edge of the battlefield to recover his strength so that he can return to the battlefield and continue fighting as soon as possible. No, I have to contribute to this battle. I must massage Captain Ningchuan more seriously so that he can recover faster. After a self-brainwashing, Tina massaged Ningchuan more seriously, and Nami and the other three, at this moment, all held binoculars and looked at the battlefield in the distance. Various devil fruit abilities, icebergs, lava, and even the huge golden Buddha statue, all left a very deep impression on them. The strong men on the sea are really strong. I want to be as strong as them. Nami raised her little fist and couldn't help but speak. I want to be like that swordsman, able to fight monsters like this with a sword. Guena couldn't help but clench her fist and said loudly. Well, let's work together. We have to help Ningchuan more in the future when we fight. We must not drag him down. Nokigo put on a big sister attitude and put her hands on Nami and Kuina's shoulders and said seriously. Listening to their words, Ningchuan smiled. If it comes to the point where you have to go to the battlefield. I, Ningchuan, am really unqualified. Ningchuan stared at the Buddha form of the warring states for a long time. He spoke directly in his mind. System, settle. Congratulations to the host for successfully observing the human fruit, the mythical beast species, and the Buddha form ability for 5 seconds, activating the 10,000 times return system for cultivation. Start practicing settlement now. Successful settlement. Congratulations to the host for successfully obtaining the cultivation return of observing the human fruit, the mythical beast species, and the Buddha form ability for 50,000 seconds. The host has a huge improvement in understanding the abilities of the human fruit, mythical beast, and Buddha form. Feeling the additional understanding of the Buddha form fruit in his mind after the system's cultivation was returned, Ningchuan couldn't help but reveal a satisfied smile at the corner of his mouth. However, he knew that it was not enough to reach this level. He stared at the actions of Zhang Guo in the distant battlefield and continued to say in his heart. System, continue to settle, congratulations to the host. System, continue to settle, that with the help of the cultivation that the system continuously returns, Ningchuan soon had a very detailed understanding of Zhang Guo's fruit ability. He now knows every detail of the Buddha's transformation, know the use of power behind each action, as well as the perfect fusion of domineering and physical skills. Congratulations to the host for successfully using the abilities of the human fruit, mythical beast, and Buddha form. After hearing the feedback from the system, Ningchuan's mouth curled up slightly and said with a smile. It's time to transform into a big Buddha. As Ningchuan's mind moved, he slowly stood up, and the aura around him changed subtly. In order not to sink his boat, Ning Chuan gently patted Tina's sexy baigu and asked her to stop temporarily, then he just tiptoed and flew to the sea. The next moment, his figure suddenly swelled up, and his whole body exuded bursts of dazzling golden light. Soon, he turned into a huge golden Buddha statue like the Warring States period. Ning Chuan felt that his strength and combat power were much stronger than before. He stretched out a hand and gently pressed it to the sea surface, then, a huge shock wave directly set off a series of huge waves on the calm sea. Not bad, even shock waves can be used. This is a perfect transformation. Ning Chuan was very satisfied with the big Buddha he transformed into. However, this level is not enough. Continue to settle. Congratulations to the host for successfully using the human fruit, fantasy beast, Buddha form ability for 10 seconds, activating the 10,000 times return system for cultivation. At the same time, the four people including Nami on the boat looked at the huge golden Buddha statue in front of them, with shocked expressions on their faces. Nami and the other three were fine. After all, they had been following Ningchuan for so long, and had seen a lot of strange things. The threshold in their hearts was much higher, but it was the first time that Tina saw such a shocking scene. Her jaw almost dropped to the ground in shock. Big Buddha. Isn't this the ability of martial warring states? Wait, is the rumor true? Captain Ningchuan can really learn the devil fruit abilities of others. As expected of Captain Ningchuan, this is too amazing. I don't know if Captain Ningchuan will look down on my fruit ability. For a moment, Tina's eyes were full of admiration. The two people standing right above their boat, Long and Tyrant Bear, watching Ningchuan suddenly turn into a golden Buddha like Zhang Guo, Long was shocked and almost lost the power of the wind fruit, causing the two to fall from the sky. Why did this kid suddenly turn into a Buddha? Isn't this Zhang Guo's ability? How can he use Zhang Guo's ability? Hearing Long's shocked words, Tyrant Bear shook his head slightly and spread his hands, indicating that he didn't know. Long stared at Ningchuan for a long time and said helplessly. Forget it, I'm afraid I can't figure out this kid's ability for a while. Ignore him for the time being. The Navy fleet has gone far away, Shanks has successfully entangled Zhang Guo and others, and we should act too. When Long and Tyrant Bear found that the attention of the Navy's top brass was focused on the fierce battle on the front line, the two smiled at each other. They knew that the long-awaited opportunity had finally arrived. Long looked at Ningchuan, who had turned into a Buddha. Looking at him, Long nodded gently, expressing silent gratitude. Then, he manipulated the power of the fruit, and began to quickly approach the Navy fleet in the distance with Big Bear. Looking at the two people leaving, Ningchuan couldn't help but smile slightly. It seems that the Navy's operation to capture Buggy this time will fail again. I don't know how angry the five elders will be after the failure of this operation. However, after Buggy escaped this time, his bounty will probably increase again, right? TSK, he is indeed a guy with amazing luck. Chapter 73. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sengoku and Garp are going all out. Under the full force attack of the two, Shanks gradually fell into a disadvantage. However, although Garp and Sengoku temporarily gained the upper hand and suppressed Shanks, but they all knew in their hearts, it is not easy to completely defeat Shanks, unless the three of them fight here for several days and nights, and use the advantage of 2-to-1 to wear Shanks to death. Otherwise, it will be difficult to take him down in a short time. At this moment, the two of them couldn't help but start to wonder. Ningchuan at the end of the battle with Shanks, how did he suppress a strong man like Shanks? At the critical moment when the battle between the two sides entered a white-hot stage, Sengoku suddenly felt a sense of inexplicable uneasiness in his heart. With his many years of combat experience, he instinctively felt that Shanks's re-attack on the Navy seemed not simple, there seemed to be a trick. Taking advantage of the gap in the battle, Sengoku used his huge size advantage to look back and glance behind. This sight made his heart tighten immediately. He suddenly discovered that behind the naval fleet, there were two unidentified figures continuing to chase. For a moment, Sengoku's heart was alarmed. He immediately realized that this was most likely a carefully planned strategy to lure the tiger away from the mountain. Sengoku looked down at Shanks's calm expression. He did not show any concern because the naval fleet took Buggy away. It was as if the previous worries had disappeared now. This further strengthened Sengoku's speculation. It's definitely a trick. As a wise general, Sengoku knew the cunning of pirates. Shanks' current performance was undoubtedly revealing a signal. All this was within his calculations. I must find a way to go back and take a look. Just when Sengoku was full of uneasiness, the originally calm sea suddenly rolled up waves of terrible tornadoes. Like the wrath of God, it completely enveloped the entire naval fleet. This scene made Sengoku's face look extremely ugly in an instant. He finally realized that he had really fallen into Shanks' trap. Garp's face was equally gloomy. When he first saw this strange tornado, he had an ominous premonition in his heart. Dragon. Garp recognized it at first sight. This was probably the work of his son, Monkey D. Dragon. At this moment, Garp understood, the appearance of Dragon was not accidental, but part of Shanks's careful planning. Among the few people, Garp was the fastest. He gave up the battle with Shanks almost as a conditioned reflex. He turned and rushed towards the direction of the Navy fleet. He increased his speed to the extreme, so fast that it almost exceeded the understanding of ordinary people. However, the fleet is now too far away. Even with Garp's speed, he could not get back in time to save the situation. When Garp finally arrived at the fleet's command post, the scene in front of him made him completely stunned. I saw my good son, Long, looking at me with a smile, the big bear standing next to him. He used the power of the meatball fruit right in front of me and pressed it on Buggy. The next moment, Buggy disappeared instantly from where he was. The speed was so fast that Garp could hardly see it clearly. At this moment, Garp felt mixed emotions. He knew that the Navy's action had completely failed again this time. He looked at his good son helplessly. Long smiled at him apologetically. At the moment when Garp's fist was about to hit his face, he and Tyrant Bear were also slapped away by the power of the meatball fruit. Looking at the horizon in the distance, the extremely violent tornado gradually stopped. Shanks' eyes passed through the layers of wind and waves, and there was a hint of confidence in his eyes. The plan succeeded. He whispered to himself, with a barely perceptible smile at the corner of his mouth. He knew that with the ability of Tyrant Bear's meatball fruit, Buggy should have been safely teleported to the designated location at this moment, away from the battlefield. Without any hesitation, Shanks decisively ordered at this moment. Everyone retreat. Although his voice was not loud, it reached everyone's ears. The members of the Red Hair Pirates were prepared in advance. The moment they heard the order, no one wanted to fight. They all repelled their opponents, quickly boarded the ship, and began to evacuate. Shanks directly used his signature skill, Observation Kill, instantly blocked the observation haki of Sengoku, Akiji, and Akainu. The observation haki was sealed. Sengoku and the others immediately sensed a hint of danger, directly switched from offense to defense to prevent Shanks from taking the opportunity to attack. However, Shanks did not continue to attack the Navy. He smiled and looked at Sengoku and the others, then swung a sword at the ice under his feet. The sword energy covered with tyrannical domineering passed by, instantly cutting a new passage in the sea frozen by Akiji. Beckman also raised the flintlock in his hand at this time. Concentrating all his domineering power, he fired a shot at the back of the ship. With the moment the bullet exploded, their ship was directly pushed out by this extremely powerful explosive force. In an instant, it flew far away, leaving the high-ranking Navy officers far behind. With this power, the Red Hair Pirates quickly rushed out of the encirclement of the Navy like an arrow from a string. Looking at the Red Hair Pirates who successfully escaped, listening to the joyful voices of the pirates on their ship, Sengoku and other high-ranking officials were filled with complex emotions. Shanks escaped successfully. And the warship holding Buggy was severely damaged. They are now in a dilemma. Sengoku knew that if he continued to pursue, Buggy might have an accident, so, Sengoku made the decision to return to defense in an instant. After all, Buggy is the most important. However, when they rushed back to the fleet at the fastest speed, they only saw Garp standing helplessly on the deck, with unspeakable frustration written on his face. I am one step late. The dragon of the Revolutionary Army and the tyrant bear of the 7 warlords of the sea, they rescued Buggy together. There was a hint of helplessness in Garp's voice, although he rushed back at the fastest speed, he still couldn't stop them. After hearing Garp's words, Sengoku's anger was like a volcanic eruption. He grabbed Garp's collar, and his eyes flashed with uncontrollable anger. Garp, explain it to me. Your good son Dragon actually rescued Buggy. Our entire army has tried so hard to catch him and give an explanation to the celestial dragons and the 5 elders. But in the end, he was snatched away by your son of the Revolutionary Army. Sengoku's voice was full of frustration and anger. He couldn't accept such an ending. After all, since the beginning of the Great Pirate Era, the morale of the Navy has been getting lower and lower. Even in the second half of the Grand Line, some great pirates have opened up a new world for pirates. And this time he personally led the team out to take this opportunity to boost the morale of the entire army. Fortunately, they can stand up straight in the future battles with pirates. But now it's good. It was obviously successful, but it failed in the end. Now, let alone boosting morale, I'm afraid that morale will fall a lot more. The Navy will probably be even more difficult in the future. Sengoku sighed helplessly. At the same time, Ning Chuan stood on his boat, looking at the direction where Shanks left in the distance, with a smile on his face. It seems that the Navy still failed. TSK, it really won't work without me. Chapter 74. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the Navy ship. The Navy is finished. Do you know? Garp? Garp was grabbed by the collar, looking at the angry Sengoku, but a bitter smile appeared on his face. Then I can't do anything. How about you demote me 1 level and let me be a major general? Although Garp's words were a bit teasing, they also revealed a hint of helplessness. Sengoku was so angry that smoke almost came out of his head when he heard this, but he could do nothing. He knew that although Garp usually looked unreliable, but at this critical moment, he would not let down. After all, the biggest mistake this time was his own. He only cared about the Shanks pirates, and did not expect that other forces would be involved. In the end, Sengoku had to sigh deeply. Forget it, go back. Summarize this action well. Next time, don't do it like today. Sengoku knew that it was useless to say anything now. He had to temporarily put away his anger and ordered the entire army to withdraw to Marin Fanduo and reorganize the army, to deal with various situations that may occur on the sea next. At this time, Ningchuan's boat also slowly came to the position of the Navy command ship. He looked at the ugly faces of the Navy's senior officials. He immediately understood. His guess was right. Buggy had been successfully rescued. Zhangguo also looked at Ningchuan at this time. He felt mixed emotions. This time in the naval battle, this kid is the one who gained the most. I remember that when we fought Shanks, this kid also stole my Buddha form. It's a pity that such a talent cannot be used by the Navy. Zhangguo was also helpless at this time. However, before leaving, he still did not give up and asked Ningchuan one last time. Ningchuan, don't you want to come to the Navy headquarters? There are many things that may interest you. For example, many devil fruit users you have never seen. Hearing that Zhangguo actually used other devil fruit users to tempt him, Ningchuan smiled slightly and politely refused. Thank you for the invitation from Marshal Zhangguo, but I still have my own way to go. I hope we will have the opportunity to cooperate next time we meet. After saying that, Ningchuan turned his head and looked at Tina beside him. Miss Tina, go back. Your massage technique is very good. I am very satisfied. Looking forward to meeting you next time. Tina stood aside, looking at the sunny and handsome boy in front of her, her eyes full of reluctance, but she is a Navy after all, and she must obey orders and retreat with the large army. Tina nodded with some regret. it can be seen that she likes to be with Ningchuan and the others. When she returned to her ship, Tina had made up her mind in her heart. She must work hard to practice and upgrade her rank to general level as soon as possible. In this way, she will have the opportunity to lead the warship to go out to sea alone. After leaving the Navy fleet, Ningchuan finally had time to sort out the gains from this battle. Recalling his gains after this naval battle, the smile on his face almost reached his ears. This is a great harvest. Not only did I get the ice fruit, lava fruit, and the ability of the Buddha form. It also allowed me to open the Conqueror's Hawkeye, and also learn Shanks's unique skill, the observation kill. Ningchuan was naturally quite satisfied with his gains this time. Just as he was calculating his gains this time, Nami, Nojiko, and Kuina came over. Ningchuan, where are we going next? Are we going to the Grand Line? That it can be seen, after experiencing a grand scene that has never been seen before, now Nami and the others are looking forward to the more exciting Grand Line in the legend. No, before heading to the Grand Line, there is another place we need to go. Go somewhere. Where? Nami and the other two showed a trace of confusion on their faces. They naturally couldn't guess where Ningchuan wanted to go. The Kingdom of Music, Elegia. A week later, the four people who were playing mahjong on the boat finally saw the island where the Kingdom of Music was located. Through the telescope, they saw the blue sea against the white sand beach, groups of white pigeons flew under the blue sky, and rainbows crossed the city. This beautiful scene like a fairy tale is refreshing. The Kingdom of Music is indeed an extremely romantic place. As their boat gradually approached the shore, Ningchuan's eyes were fixed on a ship anchored by the sea. This ship Ningchuan is very familiar, that's the pirate ship of Shanks and his crew. It seems that Shanks and his crew have been here with Yuta for a short time. But with Yuta's singing talent, she should have been targeted by the sealed demon now. Before she sings the forbidden music, we must stop her. Ningchuan knew it in his heart. Once Yuta sings the forbidden music, then the demon sealed under the Kingdom of Music will be released, bring a catastrophe to this beautiful Kingdom of Music. Yuta is also a poor girl, help her. It's not bad to have a singer on the ship. In fact, the moment Ningchuan saw Yuta on Shank's ship, he had the idea of luring Yuta to his ship. For this lovely little girl, he didn't want Yuta to end up with a tragic ending like in the original plot. With this idea, Ningchuan led Nami and others to the palace of the Kingdom of Music, although we don't know what the situation of Yuta is now. We don't know whether Yuta has received the forbidden music handed over by the devil's men, but as long as we go to the palace and remind the king to keep an eye on the forbidden music in advance, then we can prevent Yuta from making a big mistake in advance. They quickly passed through the bustling streets, watching the street artists playing to their heart's content. The cheerful melody filled the entire city. The three of them soon came to the central square of the Music Kingdom. A magnificent concert venue came into view in the distance. The melodious piano sounds continued to come out of the hall, all of which showed the peace and tranquility of this place. But Ningchuan knew that as long as the devil was released, then all this beauty might be destroyed by the impending disaster. Just as Ningchuan took Nami and the other three to the palace, suddenly, there was a burst of noise from the tavern next to them. Ha, we must drink a few more glasses. We finally saved Buggy from the navy and escaped successfully. We must relax. Beckman, Lakiru, let's go to another tavern to continue drinking. A familiar voice sounded. Ningchuan turned his head and saw Shanks was supported by several other people and was staggering out of the tavern. It can be seen that they must have drunk too much and were driven away by the tavern owner. Shanks, who was staggering forward, suddenly saw a familiar figure standing in front of him. He looked at it carefully for a while, and was so scared that he sobered up half of the alcohol. Isn't this the kid Ningchuan? Why is this little pervert here? Am I dazzled? Chapter 75. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The moment they saw Ningchuan, Shank's men immediately became alert. They held their hands on their weapons and were ready to fight at any time. For a moment, the air was filled with a tense atmosphere. Hey! What are you doing? Ningchuan has helped us a lot, but we can't treat friends like this. Shanks raised his hand to signal Lakiru and the others to stop. There was a hint of smile in his eyes. He took the initiative to step forward, hugged Ningchuan's neck, and smiled. Ningchuan, I didn't expect to meet you here. It was thanks to you that Buggy escaped a few days ago. Ningchuan pushed Shanks' hand away with some disgust, and responded very calmly. Nothing, after all, I'm not a navy, and I don't care who Buggy falls into. Hearing Ningchuan's answer, Shanks smiled, and then leaned close to Ningchuan's ear mysteriously. Is what Buggy said true? Did you force him to kill the celestial dragon? You are such a brave boy. Aren't you afraid that Buggy will betray you after he is caught? As for this question, Ningchuan naturally didn't take it to heart. The evidence is all there. This matter has nothing to do with me. If those guys really point their spears at me, it won't waste much time to kill a few more. Looking at Ningchuan's confident face, Shanks was silent for a moment, then smiled bitterly. You are such a little bastard. The matter with Buggy is over. I don't plan to hold you responsible. Anyway, I can't beat you. Shanks sighed helplessly at first, then he suddenly smiled and looked at Ningchuan seriously. How about, let's have a party? I still have a lot of good wine on my ship. Ha ha ha. Shanks' words made the men around him relax. They followed Shanks out to sea for such a long time. Naturally, they knew that the guy who could be dragged to a party by Shanks could no longer fight. The tense atmosphere of the battle dissipated instantly, replaced by a relaxed atmosphere. I want to get this guy drunk. Ask him why he is so strong. And the origin of the sword in his hand. If there is a chance, I will also ask for one. Just when Shanks was thinking about how to dig out some information from Ningchuan, who knew that Ningchuan seemed to see through what he was thinking and directly refused. Sorry, I have something to do now, so I can't go to your party for the time being. Hearing Ningchuan's refusal, Shanks was stunned for a moment. Is there anyone in this world who doesn't like to hold a party? Just when he was stunned, Ningchuan suddenly stepped forward, patted his shoulder and said seriously. I don't like banquets. But if you have any new tricks, you can call me. Just like Roger's special skill, God Avoidance. After Ningchuan finished speaking, he took Nami and the others to the palace. Shanks was left alone there with his eyes wide open in shock. What's wrong with this kid? I studied the special skill of God Avoidance in order to defeat him. How come he knew it? Ningchuan did not tell Shanks about Yuta. He came here to help Yuta and the Kingdom of Music solve the devil. Now is not the time to let Shanks and the others get involved. After all, what he has to do is to kidnap Shanks's precious daughter. If he knew his purpose in advance, it would be much more difficult to trick Yuta onto the ship. After leaving Shanks and his group, Ning Chuan and the other four turned around and walked quickly towards the palace of the Kingdom of Music. He just used his observation Hawkeye to predict the future. He saw Gordon handing Yuta the forbidden music. Now time is running out, and Yuta must be stopped from getting the forbidden music as soon as possible. Shanks looked at the backs of Ningchuan and the others who left in a hurry. Although he was confused and didn't know Ningchuan's purpose, he didn't say much. Before he completely mastered the power of God Avoidance, he was no match for Ningchuan. Boss, Ningchuan seems to have gone to the palace. Yuta is there too, should we? Hearing this, Shanks waved his hand helplessly. Let him go, Ningchuan is not a bad guy. Maybe he has some secrets that he doesn't want us to know. This is his private matter, it's better for us not to interfere. At this time, if Shanks knew that Ningchuan was actually planning to take advantage of Yuta, he had to get involved no matter what. Soon, Ningchuan and the other four came to the outside of the Palace of the Music Kingdom. Just as Ningchuan and the others were about to go in, they were stopped by the guards outside the door. Seeing this scene, Ningchuan didn't want to waste time, so he directly released a powerful domineering aura, which stunned the guards at the door. Ningchuan, we broke into someone else's palace, should it be okay? Goina, who was following behind Ningchuan, was obviously a little nervous. After all, this was the first time she did such an exciting thing. It's okay, believe Ningchuan. We went on the ship of the celestial dragons with him. I think this palace shouldn't be as grand as the ship of the celestial dragons, right? Nami and Nachigo cheered for Kuina as they ran. Listening to their experiences, Kuina couldn't help but secretly smack her lips. Soon after, in the spacious and magnificent palace hall, King Gordon was holding an ancient music score that he had accidentally found. Just as he was about to hand it over to Yuta, who had excellent musical talent, Ningchuan appeared in front of him at this time, scaring Gordon. "You, who are you? How did you get in?" Ningchuan ignored Gordon's words and spoke calmly. "If you give the thing in your hand to little Yuta to sing, your country will perish." Ningchuan's voice made Gordon stunned, his eyes were full of doubts and confusion. "Who are you? What are you talking about? Why is the country of music going to perish? You'd better explain it clearly. Or Ning Chuan interrupted Gordon before he finished speaking. "What do you mean? I have knocked all your guards unconscious. If you don't believe me, just let Yuta sing the thing in your hand." Ning Chuan leaned against the wall with a sneer on his face, just looking at Gordon calmly. At this time, Gordon held the ancient music score in his hand and stood there motionless, although he didn't believe Ning Chuan's words at all, but under the terrifying topic of the country's demise, for a moment, he didn't dare to hand the ancient music score in his hand to Yuta. Just when King Gordon was stunned, suddenly, a terrifying voice rushed straight into his soul. It rang directly in his ears. "Give the forbidden music. Give it to her." Roar. Chapter 76. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yuta and King Gordon were standing in the center of the music hall. Ever since the devil's voice sounded in his ears just now, an unsettling atmosphere began to permeate the air. Gordon and Yuta were both frightened by the voice just now. They did not feel the difference in the surrounding atmosphere. As a bystander, Ning Chuan always felt it clearly. Suddenly, another low and evil voice came from deep underground. That was the devil's voice sealed at the bottom of the kingdom of music. "This is the most beautiful music score in the world. Give it to the person with the best musical talent." A voice began to sound in Gordon's ears, hitting his soul. The moment the voice sounded, Gordon seemed to have lost himself. He began to hand the forbidden music in his hand to Yuta. "Sing it, you will get unparalleled power and glory. Sing it, you will become the best singer in the world." The devil's voice sounded in Yuta's ears at the same time. Under the temptation of the devil's voice, Gordon's eyes flashed with confusion and struggle, but he finally handed over the forbidden music in his hand according to the voice in his mind. Little Yuta did not resist the devil's temptation at this time. He began to walk slowly towards Gordon, preparing to sing the music score. At the moment when Gordon handed the forbidden music to Yuta, Ningchuan's figure flashed by. He grabbed the forbidden music in Gordon's hand with lightning speed. Roar. At the moment when Ningchuan got the forbidden music, the devil sealed under the kingdom of music let out an angry roar. "Let the whole island tremble. Asshole. I have waited for so many years, and finally waited for someone who can help me remove the seal. You dare to stop me. I remember your appearance. I will definitely kill you." Waves of devil's voices came from underground. It spread all over the island. However, only Ningchuan could understand the content. Everyone else only heard a terrifying roar. Xiao Wuda and Gordon were awakened by the sudden change at this moment. What was that sound just now? It's so scary. Xiao Wuda was so scared that he squatted on the ground with his head in his arms. His body couldn't help but tremble, although Gordon was also very scared. But after all, as the leader of a country, he still forced himself to stay calm. He didn't fall to the ground and make a fool of himself. Really, a demon? After Gordon woke up, his eyes were full of fear. I was almost bewitched by the demon's voice just now. Gordon was scared. At this time, he finally believed what Ningchuan said before, that the kingdom of music was going to perish. Just when Gordon finally woke up and realized that he almost destroyed the entire country, the demon under the palace, its angry voice became stronger and stronger. It was struggling frantically, trying to break the seal. The huge noise made by the angry demon made the whole island tremble again. At this moment, in the kingdom of music that had just quieted down, a terrifying roar sounded again. This sound seemed to come from the deepest part of the abyss, which was creepy. On the street, the violinist who was playing suddenly trembled, and the bow made a harsh noise. He looked around in horror, his voice trembling. What is this sound? So scary. The vendors in the market also stopped their work and looked at each other with the guests, their eyes full of unspeakable fear. In the tavern, the drunken drinkers sobered up a lot after hearing the roar of the demon. They looked around in horror, their faces pale. However, Among them, a group of people suddenly stood up at this time, looking solemnly in the direction of the palace of the Kingdom of Music. Beckman, the sound just now came from the direction of the palace, right? Shanks put his hand on his waist, looking serious. Beckman nodded, took a deep puff of cigarette, and looked at the direction of the palace worriedly. Yuta should still be in the palace. If our observation Hawkeye is not wrong, the dangerous breath is coming from the direction of the palace. After listening to Beckman's analysis, Lakiru suddenly stood up and shouted at Shanks and Beckman. Captain, Beckman. What are we waiting for? Yuta needs our help now. At the same time, in the palace, Gordon heard the devil against roar. His face suddenly changed. Suddenly, he seemed to remember something, looked at Ningchuan, and said seriously. I remembered an ancient legend. There has been a terrible demon sealed at the bottom of our music country. But everyone regards this as a legend, and does not think it is true. And now, this legend has come true. After realizing that he almost caused the danger of destroying the country, Gordon was terrified, and cold sweat ran down his forehead. Little guy, thanks to you. If you hadn't stopped me in time just now, the music country might have been finished. Gordon's voice trembled, and his eyes were full of gratitude when he looked at Ningchuan. Performing the forbidden music is the key to unlocking the devil's seal. As long as there is a singer with great talent who can sing this forbidden music, the devil will be free from the seal. That's why I came to stop you. But don't be so self-indulgent. I'm not here for you or your kingdom. I'm here for Yuta. I don't want her to bear the sin of destroying the kingdom of music. Gordon was embarrassed by Ning Chuan's words, but he was not angry. After all, Ning Chuan was the benefactor who saved his country. Even if he beat him up, he would only smile and bandage his wounds. After a moment of silence, Gordon looked at Ning Chuan and said seriously. If this is really the case, then this forbidden music must be destroyed. Don't let the devil have any chance to escape the seal. Ning Chuan shook his head. It's useless to destroy it. Since the devil can create a forbidden movement, it can also create a second forbidden movement. It's just a matter of time. The method you mentioned is only a temporary solution. In fact, the safest way is to completely eliminate the root cause and kill this devil. Gordon was shocked by Ning Chuan's words, and he said with a pale face. Kill the devil? Legend has it that the devil is very powerful and humans can't defeat it at all. Legend has it that many people sacrificed to seal it. Can we defeat it alone? If we can't win, won't the kingdom of music? Ning Chuan naturally understood Gordon's worries. After all, he is the king of a country, and a good king. He doesn't want to see his people fall into despair and his country be destroyed. It's just a devil. With me here, it can't turn the world upside down. However, before we get rid of the devil, I think we should talk about the reward first, right? Chapter 77. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Remuneration. When he heard Ning Chuan mention the word remuneration, King Gordon was obviously stunned for a moment, but soon, he returned to normal. As the king of a country, he naturally knew that there is no free lunch in the world. What's more, Ning Chuan helped his country to eliminate a hidden threat of national destruction for many years. It is natural to ask for some rewards. What are your conditions? Why not tell me? If you can do it, our country of music will do its best to help you. Hearing Gordon's words, Ning Chuan showed a sly smile on his face. My conditions are very simple. There are only two. The first is that if Yuta wants to hold a concert in the future, you must do your best to help promote it. Hearing Ning Chuan's first condition, Gordon nodded seriously. This condition is not difficult. What about the second one? The second condition is not difficult either. I need the kingdom of music to help me build a big ship, at least as big as the admiral's warship. Of course, not now, but after I go to the water city, I will send you the bill. Hearing this, Gordon frowned. Ningchuan's condition may cost a huge amount of Bailey, but for a country, it is not too much. What's more, this is the kingdom of music, where a large number of singers hold concerts every year. Naturally, there will be no shortage of Bailey of a warship-level ship. After a period of silence, King Gordon nodded seriously. I can promise you. But how can I believe that you have the strength to kill the devil? If it is convenient, can you show your strength a little to reassure me? Regarding Gordon's doubts, Ningchuan had already anticipated it. He did not answer, but smiled at Gordon. Come on, follow me. It's a bit hard to show here. Then, Ningchuan turned and walked out of the palace and came to the center of the courtyard. Gordon and Xiao Wuda looked at Ningchuan and followed him out. Seeing Gordon and the others walk out of the palace, Ningchuan smiled at them, then took a deep breath, and the power in his body burst out instantly. With a low shout, Ningchuan's body quickly grew larger. The dazzling golden light instantly covered his whole body, and in the blink of an eye, he turned into a golden Buddha hundreds of feet high. At this moment, the air around him seemed to be trembling with his changes. The golden light began to radiate from his body, gradually spreading outside the palace. Gordon, who had never seen the Buddha before, was stunned. He opened his mouth wide, his eyes full of shock and awe. This is incredible. Wuda's performance was okay. After all, she had seen the golden Buddha form of the Warring States period during the naval battle, but what she was curious about at this time was, why can this handsome big brother also become a golden Buddha like a navy marshal? The people of the Kingdom of Music also saw the golden Buddha that suddenly appeared in the palace. They looked towards the palace in great surprise. What is that? Is it the gods who have descended? What gods? This should be the devil fruit ability user that the king has found to help us solve the source of that terrifying cry. Really? That's great. It seems we are saved. Even if the rumored devil is born, it should not be the opponent of this big Buddha. Just when everyone in the country was shocked by this suddenly appeared Buddha, the Shanks pirates were suddenly shocked. This is not Sengoku. Jesus looked at the Buddha that Ningchuan turned into and was slightly stunned. After all, he had a fight with the Navy Marshal not long ago, and he was very worried that the Navy Marshal would also chase him. Hearing this, Shanks shook his head. No, he looks like Ningchuan. Don't just stand there, let's go to the palace and see what's going on. The Buddha has been made. At this time, Ningchuan's golden Buddha form was shining in the sun. His voice echoed in the courtyard like thunder. King Gordon, do you believe that I have the ability to get rid of the devil now? Hearing this thunderous voice, Gordon finally came back to his senses from the shock. Believe it. Believe it. I didn't expect you to be such a powerful person. The golden Buddha will definitely get rid of the devil. After seeing Ningchuan's golden Buddha form, Gordon was overjoyed. Don't be happy so early. Exorcising the devil may cause great damage to the territory of the Kingdom of Music. When the time comes, just don't cry. Hearing Ningchuan's words, Gordon hesitated for a while, struggling a little, but in the end, he made up his mind and spoke. If the building is gone, it can be rebuilt, but if the people are gone, then there will be nothing. We are willing to take this risk as long as we can completely get rid of this demon. Maybe, with the merit of getting rid of the demon, we can also become a wise ruler. Seeing that Gordon was still in the mood to joke, Ningchuan smiled and nodded. Let me make it clear first, I will not compensate for the losses caused. You are not allowed to deduct it from my shipbuilding funds. Next, Ningchuan began to prepare the plan to eliminate the demon. During this period, Shanks and his group also came to the palace. After listening to Yuda's detailed account of what had just happened, Shanks and others were scared. At the same time, they were also extremely angry. This hateful demon actually dared to use the cute little Yuda. This is the treasure of all the members of their red hair pirates. It must be done. To the death. Just like this, Ningchuan did not invite Shanks and others, they shamelessly joined the demon elimination plan. The condition for summoning the demon is that Yuda must use the power of the song fruit to sing the forbidden music. In this case, will Yuda be in danger? Shanks. After hearing Ningchuan's plan, he couldn't help but frown. Ningchuan, who knew the original plot, naturally knew that as long as Yuda used the power of the song fruit to sing the forbidden music, the devil would take the opportunity to attach to her and take away her song fruit power. It is impossible to be without danger. However, Ningchuan had already thought of a countermeasure for this. As long as he got her song fruit power first, then he activated the fruit power to unlock the seal of the devil. in that way, the devil would only look for him the first time he appeared. For Ningchuan, as long as the devil dared to come to him, then he would definitely give it a little kale. After telling Shanks his plan, Shanks looked at Ningchuan with a strange look on his face and couldn't help saying, "Although I don't know how you mastered the power of the song fruit. But there is one thing you must know. If you want to exert the power of the song fruit, you must have a talent for singing. Singing is not cultivation." "Are you sure about it?" Hearing this, Ningchuan sneered. "I practice singing every day. If you don't believe me, ask Nami and the others." Shanks looked at Nami and the other three suspiciously. As a result, the three little cuties nodded at the same time. They looked at Shanks with strange expressions, and then said in unison, "Ning Chuan does practice singing every day, and he practiced it when he was practicing Kunquan. It's just, we don't understand the songs he sings." "What's it called?" "Chicken, you're too beautiful." Chapter 78. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chicken, you are so beautiful. What is this strange thing? But when Shanks heard the strange song title, he immediately showed a confused look. Looking at Shanks's confused look at this time, Ningchuan smiled slightly and came directly to Yuta's side. He put his hands on little Yuta's shoulders and spoke to Yuta seriously. "Yuta, sing a song you are familiar with. Remember to sing with the power of the song fruit." Yuta looked at Ningchuan, and then looked at Shanks standing beside her and nodded seriously. She took a deep breath and sang a cheerful song directly according to Ningchuan's request, and at the same time activated the power of the song fruit. As her singing sounded, a strange power suddenly filled the air. Almost in an instant, all the people around were immersed in the beautiful world sung in Yuta's song, the blue sky, the warm sunshine, the illusory garden full of flowers, and the flocks of seagulls flying across the sea in the sea breeze. It all looked so real. The Shanks pirates, Nami and the others, and King Gordon, at this moment, they are all immersed in the beautiful world of singing created by Yuta. However, Ningchuan is not like others at this moment. Feeling the beautiful world created by Yuta, he has turned his observation Hawkeye to the maximum. He has been observing all the details when Yuta activated the song fruit. System, start calculating. Congratulations to the host for successfully observing the ability of the song fruit for 10 seconds, activating the 10,000 times return system for cultivation. Start practicing settlement now. Successful settlement. Congratulations to the host for successfully obtaining the cultivation return for observing the ability of the song fruit for 10,000 seconds. The host's understanding of the ability of the song fruit has improved. The first cultivation return is over. Ningchuan felt that his understanding of the ability of the song fruit had been profoundly improved. However, he is still a long way from being able to use the power of the song fruit, but Ningchuan, who has the system, doesn't care. With a deep understanding of the song fruit, Ningchuan continued to speak in his heart. System, continue to settle. Congratulations to the host for successfully feeling the power of the song fruit for 1 minute and activating the 10,000 times return system. Start practicing and settling now. Settlement successful. Congratulations to the host for successfully obtaining the 10,000 minutes of return of the power of the song fruit. The host's understanding of the power of the song fruit has been greatly improved. Not enough. System, continue to settle. Ningchuan has been feeling the power of Wuta's song fruit, until Wuta finished singing the third song. Ningchuan finally heard the system voice he wanted to hear. Congratulations to the host, you can now use the power of the song fruit. Hearing this, Ningchuan finally showed a satisfied smile on his face. Can I finally use the power of the song fruit? Then let you feel the power of the Kunquan world. Ningchuan looked at everyone with a sly smile on his face. Then before Yuta was about to start singing the fourth song, Ningchuan suddenly started singing. Genie is so beautiful, you are so beautiful. The moment Ningchuan started, everyone around him felt that their eyes suddenly went dark. The next moment, they found themselves as if they had entered a fantastic world. A young man wearing suspenders and playing basketball suddenly appeared in front of them. Just when they hadn't figured out what was going on, this boy actually began to change. The boy suddenly turned into a golden kun playing basketball there. Then came the second, the third, until the end, there were so many Kuns playing basketball that they could hardly count them and filled up the space in front of them. Ah! My eyes! My eyes are polluted. What the hell, what is going on in this world? Why does such a weird thing exist? No, help, help. I want to get out of this world. Is this the ability of the song fruit used by Ning Chuan? Compared with Yuta, this is simply hell. Kunquan, all of it is Kunquan, that when Ning Chuan finished singing the last line of the lyrics, the people trapped in Kunquan's world finally got free from it. Thank God, Ning Chuan finally finished singing. It's not easy to survive. Now I see everyone as a big Kunquan in suspenders and a middle-parted hair. Ning Chuan is a very beautiful woman, Chuan, Ning Chuan, big brother. Please don't sing this song again, okay? It's finally over. The scene just now is even more frightening than playing with the navy. Without looking at the scared expressions on the faces of the people around him, the culprit Ning Chuan's face never stopped grinning. It seems that such mental pollution is also a good weapon. If I transform into a Buddha form first, use the Buddha's voice that can confuse people's hearts to activate the song fruit, and sing it once. Genie is so beautiful. In this way, I'm afraid it will cause a top-level mental pollution. I'm afraid that everyone in the country of music will go crazy, that if King Gordon knew what Ning Chuan was thinking at this time, I'm afraid he would risk his life, and let the citizens quickly cover their ears to avoid seeing this terrifying scene. Such a terrifying mental pollution is probably more terrifying than seeing a ghost. System, settle the practice just now. Congratulations to the host for successfully using the power of the song fruit to sing for 3 minutes and 39 seconds, activating the 10,000 times return system for cultivation. Start the cultivation settlement now. Settlement successful. Congratulations to the host for successfully using the power of the song fruit to sing for 30,000 minutes, 39,000 seconds of cultivation return. The host has greatly improved his mastery of the power of the song fruit. Not bad. Singing is much more interesting than fighting. Find a chance to sing for them again. Everyone looked at the weird smirk on Ning Chuan's face again. At this moment, everyone wanted to run away from Ning Chuan. I have mastered the power of the song fruit. The work of exorcism can begin now. King Gordon, you can now order the people of the country to evacuate. Ningchuan smiled and looked at King Gordon, who was sweating profusely. King Gordon at this time still hadn't recovered from the shadow just now. After Ningchuan's reminder, he finally got rid of the nightmare-like horror scene. King Gordon looked at Ningchuan with some fear. As an old musician, it is really difficult to evaluate his attitude towards Ningchuan now. Ningchuan's voice is very penetrating, and his talent in singing is almost the same as Yuta's. Both can exert the terrifying power of the song fruit and easily pull people into a new world, but Ningchuan's songs are enough to drive people crazy. It forms a sharp contrast with Yuta's pure voice like the sound of nature. However, it is fortunate that Ningchuan will not stay in the kingdom of music for long, otherwise, I am afraid that everyone in the kingdom of music will go crazy. Ningchuan is even more terrifying than the sealed demon. Okay, I will give the order immediately. The demon must be eliminated as soon as possible to get the kingdom of music out of danger. Although Gordon said so on the surface, but in fact, he wanted Ningchuan to quickly exorcise the demon and then send them away. After all, this Ningchuan kid is too scary. More scary than the devil. Chapter 79. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In order to avoid affecting Ningchuan and his team's actions to deal with the devil, King Gordon decisively ordered the evacuation of the entire country. In just one day, the entire music kingdom became empty. The once bustling streets and alleys are now only Ningchuan and Shanks and his gang. Ningchuan is very clear about the strength of the devil. It is very strong. It can even be described as terrifyingly strong. In the original plot, the lineup that defeated the devil was quite luxurious. The Shanks pirates plus the Straw Hat Luffy pirates, 2 of the 4 emperors, were the main offensive forces. Together with Fujitora, Kizaru and other masters, they defeated the devil completely. It is conceivable how terrifying the strength of this demon king is. However, facing such a powerful demon king, Ningchuan, who has a system, did not take him to heart, he can infinitely improve his own strength. A mere demon king, no problem. Ningchuan stood in the central square of the palace, holding the forbidden music in his hand, and he had some expectations for the devil in his heart. I'm going to start. You guys get ready, don't let the devil go to other areas and threaten the people. Ningchuan looked at the red-hair pirates and explained seriously. Shanks nodded, and he had already put his hand on the griffin at his waist. As long as the devil appears, he can cut his strongest sword. As the power of Ningchuan's song fruit began to surge, he unfolded the forbidden music, clenched his hands, and began to sing the forbidden melody. As Ningchuan's singing sounded, a powerful force began to surge from his body. The next moment, the whole palace was shrouded in a mysterious atmosphere. The melody of the forbidden music was melodious and grand, reaching deep underground. Just when the forbidden music was sung to the end, the demon seal deep underground in the palace broke. With a bang, a terrifying dark breath surged out from the ground, accompanied by a deafening roar. The long-sealed demon king finally escaped. As the demon king's figure gradually appeared, a dark mass, 100 feet high. The whole body exuded a strong dark breath. The dark body seemed to come from hell, and the terrifying power made the surrounding air tremble. The demon king's eyes burned like flames, and his hideous face revealed endless ferocity and greed. Staring at Ningchuan, who sang the forbidden music, the moment it escaped, it immediately locked its eyes on Ningchuan, because it felt the familiar and powerful power of the song fruit. This is the power that has sealed me for hundreds of years, that the demon king roared, and his voice shook the surroundings like thunder. I want to take this fruit and use it for myself, so that everyone can enter the dark world I created and become my slaves. That the devil roared, waved his huge palm, and rushed towards Ningchuan with destructive power. Looking at the devil, who was emitting terrifying black energy, Ningchuan showed a sneer on his face. He was not afraid at all, and his body instantly burst into golden light. Almost in an instant, Ningchuan turned into a golden Buddha. The golden light shone in all directions, forming a strong contrast with the dark breath of the devil. You are just a waste, and you dare to shout, Ningchuan shouted coldly, and the golden light in the form of a Buddha instantly burst out. The golden light collided violently with the dark power of the devil, as if they were competing for a higher level. The ground of the palace shook violently under the collision of two powerful forces, and stones flew everywhere. As it started, Shanks and others looked at the devil who broke free from the seal, and a look of shock appeared on their faces. They thought the demon king was very strong, but they didn't expect the demon king to be so strong. Just feeling the terrifying aura, Shanks and others felt a bit tricky. Cut it! Shanks tightened his grip on the griffin in his hand in an instant and slashed out a terrifying knife. His men also began to attack at this time. Countless attacks bombarded the demon king, knocking it back dozens of meters. However, despite so many attacks, it did not change its target. It still set its target on Ningchuan. The demon king stabilized his body by force, roared, and rushed towards Ningchuan with destructive power. However, Ningchuan was prepared. At the moment the demon king came out, he directly pressed down hard on its head with one hand. A powerful shock wave burst out instantly, slamming the demon king who was rushing towards him to the ground. The demon king's body hit the ground heavily, stirring up a cloud of dust, and the entire palace building collapsed. Ningchuan did not give the demon king any chance to breathe. The left and right hands rotated, and they beat violently. Each punch was blasted with a powerful shock wave, and the golden Buddha light flickered in the air, as if to dispel all the darkness. Under the suppression of the golden shock wave, the demon king tried to fight back with difficulty, but every attack was easily blocked by Ningchuan. He pressed him to the ground for a long time. However, Ningchuan soon discovered that the damage to the demon king by the shock wave alone was very limited. Although it was beaten very embarrassed, the actual damage was not high. It's quite durable, it's a good toy, Ningchuan sneered, ready to give this big guy something fun. I saw that his left hand began to activate the ability of the frozen fruit, and his right hand ignited the boiling magma. Try this trick, Ningchuan snorted coldly, and the fists containing the power of freezing and lava hit the demon king at the same time. Boom! A terrible explosion broke out instantly. The power of ice and lava raged wildly in the demon king's body. The freezing cold froze the demon king's body into ice, and the heat of the lava shattered the huge block of ice in the next moment. The Demon King's screams were particularly shrill in the explosion. Half of the demon's body disappeared in an instant under the impact of the two fruit abilities. Ning Chuan looked at the demon's body being shattered, and a trace of disdain appeared on his face, but there was something that Ning Chuan did not expect. The Demon King's recovery speed was unexpectedly fast. It only gave it a moment to breathe, and it returned to normal, but compared with just now, the terrifying aura all over his body was much weaker. The recovered Demon King was furious, and his eyes were burning with dark flames that seemed to devour all the horror. He opened his huge mouth, stared at Ning Chuan, and made an extremely harsh roar. "I will tear you into pieces and never reincarnate." Hearing this, Ning Chuan slapped down with a lava palm, melting more than half of the Demon King's head instantly. "Just you. I've tasted lava and ice, and now I'll taste the taste of being torn into pieces." Ning Chuan instantly activated the ability of the fruit of the foreshattering from his hand inserted into the Demon King's head. The next moment, the Demon King's body was immediately split into countless pieces and scattered around. However, this was far from enough. "Thunder Fire Sword, it's your turn." As Ning Chuan whispered softly, the Thunder Fire Sword instantly flew to a height of 10,000 meters. It drew the terrifying power of thunder from the clouds. It fiercely chopped down the Demon King's scattered body. Boom! A burst of thunder swept past. The Thunder Fire Sword slashed out a terrifying blow carrying thunder. The power of thunder was like the thunder of the 9 heavens, instantly covering the fragments of the Demon King's body. A destructive lightning burst out. The people of the Shanks pirates watched the horrific scene of Ningchuan beating the Demon King. The power of ice, lava and thunder spread all over the place. They all couldn't help swallowing their saliva, and they were terrified. If Ningchuan had used the power of beating the Demon King to deal with us in the naval battle a few days ago, then would we still be able to survive? Chapter 80. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The purifying power of thunder permeated the air, and the entire battlefield was enveloped by this power. Ning Chuan was keenly aware of it. Even though it was bombarded by the thunder, the demon still did not completely disappear, and its breath still lingered around. This demon seemed to be immortal, and no attack could completely destroy it. This demon is really troublesome. However, can I also master the demon's immortality? Thinking of this, Ning Chuan began to observe the demon's immortality carefully. He knew that the demon's immortality must have some secret. Ning Chuan decided to observe the demon's recovery process more carefully, hoping to find a way to master the demon's resurrection. He calmly watched every reorganization of the demon, and gradually discovered that the demon's recovery came from an invisible force. For this invisible force, Ning Chuan couldn't figure out what it was for a while. After observing it for a long time with the domineering power of observation, he had to rely on the power of the system to help. System, start settlement. Congratulations to the host for successfully observing the source of malice in the world for 10 seconds, and activating the 10,000 times return system for cultivation. Start the cultivation settlement now. Settlement successful. Congratulations to the host for successfully obtaining the return of cultivation for observing the source of malice in the world for 10,000 seconds. The host's understanding of the source of malice in the world has improved. Hearing the voice of the system, Ning Chuan finally understood that the power supporting the resurrection of the devil actually came from the malice in the world. As long as the malice in the world is not destroyed, the devil can be reborn continuously. If I also absorb this source of malice, can't I also be resurrected infinitely? Just like the 5 elders. Ning Chuan's mind turned quickly, although he didn't know if this was feasible, but he decided to give it a try. If it worked, wouldn't he have the ability to revive infinitely? Do it as soon as he said it. At the moment the devil recovered, Ning Chuan once again used the power of the split fruit to split it into countless pieces. Continue to observe the demon's resurrection process. 1 minute later. System, start settlement. Congratulations to the host for successfully observing the source of the world's malice for 1 minute, activating the system of 10,000 times return of cultivation. Now start the practice settlement. Successful settlement. Congratulations to the host for successfully obtaining the return of cultivation for observing the source of the world's malice for 10,000 minutes. The host's understanding of the source of the world's malice has been greatly improved. System, continue settlement. Half an hour later, congratulations to the host for successfully obtaining the ability to absorb the source of malice. The host can use this ability to refine the demon's body. Hearing the exciting news from the system, Ning Chuan's face finally showed a trace of excitement. Finally succeeded. Immortal body, that without any hesitation, he directly began to collect the surrounding malice and transform his body into a demon's body. System, start settlement. The settlement direction is to reduce the impact of malice on my mind. This time, Ning Chuan directly improved his mental cultivation in the process of transforming his physique into a demon body. After all, he is not like this crazy demon king. His mind was swallowed by malice. Congratulations to the host for successfully resisting the invasion of the source of malice for 10 minutes, and activating the 10,000 times return system for cultivation. Start practicing settlement now. Successful settlement. Congratulations to the host for successfully resisting the invasion of the source of malice for 10,000 minutes. The host's resistance to the source of malice in the world has been greatly improved. System, continue settlement. Also settle the progress of my own demon body. In the process of Ning Chuan's body transforming into a demon body, Ning Chuan continued to use the system's ability to return cultivation, minimize the impact of the demon body on his body as much as possible. At the same time, when the body of the demon torn apart by Ning Chuan was half recovered, it suddenly found that its recovery speed was more than half of what it had been before. The demon was a little confused about what was going on. He looked at Ning Chuan in confusion. He was shocked to find that Ning Chuan was actually collecting malice on its behalf and cutting off the source of resurrection. Seeing this scene, the demon was furious. His hideous face became even more terrifying, and he let out an earth-shaking roar. "How dare you rob me of my power?" The demon roared loudly. The dark aura surged around, and the violent attack surged towards Ning Chuan like a tide. Facing the demon's attack, Ning Chuan smiled coldly. "You are useless, go and be honest for a while." As soon as the sound fell, the next moment, the song Genie Taimei sounded again. Ning Chuan directly used the power of the song fruit to trap the devil in the world of Kunquan. He was going to continue to receive the evil spirits scattered in the world for the devil. The devil continued to struggle in the world of Kunquan, making a shrill scream. It was the power of the song fruit again. He had been sealed in the world of the song fruit for hundreds of years before. He didn't want to be sealed in by Ningchuan again. However, no matter how he struggled, it was useless. But compared to the last time, it was even worse this time. After all, in the last world he stayed in, there were not so many, countless Kuns playing basketball to torture him. At the same time, Ningchuan continued to collect evil spirits on behalf of the devil, gradually achieving an immortal demon body. Feeling a large amount of evil power pouring into his body, he gradually became stronger. Ningchuan also felt that his body was getting stronger. Whether it was speed, strength, or vitality and other aspects, it's dozens of times more than before. 1 hour later, under the continuous calculation of the system, Ningchuan successfully shortened the time to obtain the demon body. He can now collect malice like a demon to revive unlimitedly. Ningchuan is very satisfied with his new resurrection ability. In order to express his gratitude to this demon, let him successfully refine the immortal demon body. Ningchuan is ready to release the demon trapped in Kunquan's world. Give it a quick death, don't let it continue to suffer from Kunquan's torture. As Ningchuan's mind moved, the demon was successfully released by Ningchuan. At this time, it has been tortured to the point of being unconscious and its eyes are scattered. Even though he has left Kunquan's world, he still sees countless Kuns playing basketball dancing in front of him. Ningchuan looked at the pitiful appearance of the demon and couldn't help sighing in his heart. Poor demon. I'll be a good person and send you to the afterlife. The voice fell. Ningchuan mercilessly activated the power of the split fruit again. The demon's body was split into countless pieces again, but this time, Ningchuan did not give the demon any chance to recover. When the demon's pieces twisted on the ground, trying to regroup and recover, Ningchuan mercilessly began to deprive it of the source of its malice. The demon's power was constantly weakened, until the last drop of malice in its body was sucked dry by Ningchuan. The demon completely disappeared from this world. At the same time, Ningchuan's 100-foot-tall golden Buddha body also turned into an immortal demon body at this moment.